No, land. We own land. Yes, and that which is on top of the land belongs to you. But for you to develop that on top of our land, you will have to come and explain that here I want to open an industry. And then we'll say to you, you cannot open an industry here because this is an agricultural land. For security, for food security, we think there are areas that are allocated for such purpose and then relocate you to an appropriate place for what you want to do. That belongs to you. It doesn't belong to the state. But the state ownership of the land then gives our people an opportunity to equally participate in the economy of South Africa.
So let me give you an example then. From what I understand as well, you've said that this policy of expropriation or compensation affects people black and white. In other words, you think the state should have custodian of all land, whether you're black or white, the state will be custodian of it, and then we'll have control over what you can do with that land. Would you like a tenant? Is that correct? A tenant?
No, you can't be tenant on your own land.
No. Because you said there would be no private ownership of land whatsoever. Right? All land would be owned by the state.
You can't be a tenant on your own land. Are you a tenant of your water? Are you renting the water that you drink? It's owned by the state, but it still belongs to you. You know why? Because you know you are the state. You are South Africa. And therefore you cannot be a tenant on your own land. Right. It belongs to you. So
in other words, the state holds it on behalf of the people. That's what
yes.
That the people and the state are synonymous.
We are one thing. Yes. A democratically elected state will be based on the will of the people to handle the affairs of the state on their behalf and for their own benefit. Yes. That's a democratic state.
So now let me give you a case. Let's say we have a black industrialist who has a factory that employs thousands of black workers on a piece of land, and the particular government of the day, the state, says, we have decided that we don't want you to be using the land for this purpose, we think it is better utilized for agricultural means, and therefore we're going to forcibly remove you from this area and you must be relocated elsewhere. The state would have that power in your system, is that correct?
You are giving a wrong example and you want to distort and mislead the court.
Why?
We have found a factory here of a black industrialist, and who comes to the state and say, my lord, I'm the occupant here, this is my factory, this is what we are doing. The factory is allocated at an appropriate piece of land. Why would the state say, no, move from here, go somewhere? That applies when you now want to apply for a new land that you suggest there can be a very good factory here. This is what we can produce. We can produce sweets here and sell them around. And we say to you, no, but the sweets will not be an immediate thing that is of our best interest as a community. This land should be used for agricultural purpose. So now, everybody who occupies every piece of land as we speak today, this court, it will be defined in the books of the state that a certain portion of the land in Joburg is being utilized for court purposes, and it shall continue as such. So it cannot be correct that we are going to evict people from their factories. That is scaremongering, and that's what you thrive on.
No, I'm just trying to understand.
No, not you. When I say you, I mean your client. Unless you are a member of your client, then you are the same.
I think you know that all advocates are independent practitioners.
Come again?
All advocates are independent practitioners.
That's what I'm saying. When I say you are speaking to me, my lord. Your client is speaking to me through you. I shall speak to your client through you. And when I say you, I mean the applicant. In this case, you are not an applicant.
Yes, I just want to understand what your position is.
Yes.
Now, I think it's important that when we engage, I'm not trying to straw man it. I want to understand what the position is. Then you can correct it. And then we can proceed.
Yeah.
So, all right, if I understand your position, it's that any land that is currently being utilised, that once you introduced your policy of custodianship, those people who utilise the land, would they have a property right over it? Or they,
yes.
What right do they have to continue using it?
They will use it. They will use it. They've got a right to use it. All what we have to do, all of us, we have to now go to the state and say to the state, here I am, this is the portion of land, this is where I stay. It's my place of settlement. Here I am, I'm running my business here. Here I am. Every piece of land, my Lord, must be accounted for. We cannot have a piece of land in South Africa that the state cannot give an account as to what is the activity there. What are they? That's why we've got these things of human trafficking and brothels and all of that, because you've got a state with no capacity to account as to what is the business of this place. What are they doing here? So the state will now give an account as to what is happening there. And if that is not being used for that purpose, my Lord, then the state has got a right to evict them. That here, we gave you a right to open a factory. We didn't give you a right to come and open a strip club here.
Okay, so let me ask you a couple of follow-up questions. The first is, your position sounds rather conservative in the sense that you want to maintain the status quo. So you've said everybody who currently occupies land and runs a particular business, they keep running their business, that farm, they get to keep doing it.
Yes.
And you don't intend on disrupting it.
Yes.
At the same time, you said earlier that you're a revolutionary party, and that the idea is that you're going to engage in redistribution, and that then people will share the resources equally. How do you square these two positions?
You continue to use that which you are using. But because you've accumulated a lot, you have a lot of abandoned pieces of land that you don't even know what to do with it. We shall utilize it for the benefit of those who have not benefited. You are here. If you go, let's take for instance, my Lord, Sante, where you think there is no piece of land, where you think there is no abandoned building, with this policy will unearth a lot of pieces of land that we can build right in Sante next to the resources. Proper RDP houses. When you say RDP houses, my Lord, they scream because they've got this bad picture of RDP. That's what they've associated RDP with some cheap thing. But RDP houses means low income housing. So you go and build as a state on a land that is owned by the state, expropriated in Sante, low income housing, and then you give it to our people to stay where the resources are. When I say this, my Lord, they fight. But already these people, all of them in Sante, there is no house in Sante, 99% of them, without an RDP house. That RDP house is called the maid squatter at the back. Why can't we release them from the backyard of the owners of those houses and give them their own houses next to where they work? And we've got this mixed housing where the rich and the poor stay together and share the resources. They don't want them. Why? Because this low-income housing means black people. You are going to populate this place with black poor people, and we can't be staying next to poor people. So it's radical in that sense, because your imaginary of revolutionary and radical policies is that there's going to be disruption and demolishing of building. No, that is dreaming. It's going to be done orderly. It's going to be done within the confines of the Constitution. This is what we did. When we wanted expropriation of land without compensation, what did we do, my Lord? Did we take machete and go around beating people? Did we take guns and shoot at people? No. We went to Parliament, put a proposal for the amendment of the Constitution, because it must be done within the confines of the Constitution to avoid disruption and anarchy. It doesn't make it a less revolutionary if it's done orderly. Revolution must never be associated with anarchy. There's a difference between revolution and anarchy.
Yes, let's get to the question I've asked. So, if I understand it, I kind of want to get a sense of what the policy is.
Yes.
And maybe, as you say, it's a lot less of a disruptive policy than people would have us believe. Let's try and pin it down to find out what it is. So if you are currently an owner in Sandton, you own a building, and your policy were to come into play, and that building is functioning, would you think that it is okay to take that piece of land, expropriate it, and pay no compensation to the prior owner?
To pay?
To the prior owner. So in other words, there's a person who owns a piece of land currently under the current system. They have a title deed, it's registered with the government, it's zoned in a particular way, operates a business or whatever it is, and you now have your policy of expropriation and compensation. It would give the state this ability to, well, it becomes the owner, right?
Yes.
The state is the owner of all underlying land.
Yeah.
So just for clarity's sake, the person who owns the building, do they remain the owner of the building or not?
Yes, but the land belongs to the state. The reason why you own the building and it belongs to you, you must continue to use it for that purpose you are owning it. And if it assumes a different purpose of ownership, you require permission from the state. But if you completely lost the purpose of that building and you've got no any other idea, none whatsoever, as to what you can use that building for, it is well within the right of the state to expropriate that building and use it for a proper program that will benefit public, for public purpose and public interest. My Lord, here in Joburg, when we came in the municipality in 2016, we found a hijacked building in Joburg, dilapidated. Some landlord hijacked the building, he makes people pay rent. We went to demand that we need the owner of the building, pushed out the person who hijacked the building. You know what happened, my Lord? The building was owned by the Bank of Mozambique, which was liquidated in the 90s. It was one of those properties that they didn't have in their register, and someone saw an opportunity and hijacked it. With the current laws, there's nothing we can do. There's the building, it's dilapidated, it's hijacked by thugs. We have to go and find the non-existing owner. But if we owned the land, would have known that this building is no longer serving its purpose. Therefore, the municipality must expropriate it and convert it into low-income housing if there is a problem of housing, convert it into student accommodation if there is a problem of student accommodation, or convert it into any other thing that will be productive for our economy. It gives the state that power to intervene and intervene decisively.
Let's talk about giving the state this power. Your seventh pillar is this idea that you need to have accountability in the state, you need to fight corruption in the state.
Yes.
You're aware of the term power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yes.
Do you accept that there's a danger in giving the state enormous amounts of power?
No, there's no danger. There's no danger, my Lord, because any corrupt state can be removed after 5 years without violence. We've got a recourse. South Africans, you want to create an impression that we are helpless when a state is corrupt. No. There is now, as we speak, my Lord, huge corruption taking place in South Africa. Is the state owning the land? No. Is the state owning the strategic means of production? No. The economy is owned by minority few. So it's not entirely correct that state ownership is inherently corrupt. The state ownership in China is not corrupt. And if you try those things of corruption in the state ownership of the economy in China, then you must kiss your children goodbye because you are going to disappear. In China, corruption, my Lord, is not only stealing the money from the purse. is not spending the money that you are allocated to as a department. You get punished and you can even be killed for that. That how do you not spend money that you are given, yet there are so many people dying outside there? Here in South Africa, my lord, you've got a situation where a person doesn't spend billions of rands in the Department of Health, yet there are no hospitals, yet there are no clinics, and our people die in their numbers. So you are not spending money has led to death of people. Therefore, you've got blood on your hands. So it's not correct that the state ownership will inherently be corrupt. There is no similar problem of corruption in Cuba. You quote the state ownership when you want to drive a negative narrative. But where the state ownership has given positive narrative, you don't go to the same states that you were giving earlier.